Hello, and welcome to the latest JLife community interview. And I'm pleased to say I'm here with Sarah Hubery, who's the head of family law for Winston Solicitors. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, good morning.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Well, if we can start by just basically giving us a little bit of an intro on you and your role, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. So I'm head of family at Winston's Solicitors, and we're a high street firm. We are based in North Leeds, and we can help with any aspect of a family law assistance that may be, whether people are happy and want an agreement to sort out how their arrangements are to be set down in writing, or whether the relationship has unfortunately come to an end. We can help out with any aspect of that.
Right. So obviously you're head of family there, and you told me you recently joined the company. Is that right?
It is, yes. So I joined in April this year, actually, which perhaps sounds like a rather strange time to change jobs. It was set up quite a while ago, obviously, and April was the day that I was going to start, and that all happened. But one of the reasons and one of the attractions for Winston Solicitors for me was how advanced I was aware that they were with their technology, with their ability to help clients on a more remote basis, with the view of me actually starting to work from home, which I'd never done before. So obviously landing with the current situation in COVID was, I think I was in the best place, the best firm to try and cope with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you well, how has the company and your role been affected by the pandemic?
I think I'm probably right to say we're very lucky, and thankfully we've got everything in place that we haven't been that affected by the pandemic. It's changed everybody's outlook and changed how we all work. And obviously for me starting at a firm, it was quite difficult not having met anyone, and and not even having been in the office for one day. But everything, the systems that they have, the way we can communicate, we have twice weekly office meetings via Zoom. So everything was there really ready to go and deal with the situation that was happening with the world around us. And we've just been able to carry on, really.
Yeah, you mentioned that you've been pretty busy lately, I guess, with people on lockdown, putting strain on relationships has meant that potentially there's been a big place for family law.
It has, yes, and it is quite sad. I would say we're extremely busy.
Wow.
Usually in summertime or around this time of year, things start to slow down in the family court diary because people are getting ready for summer holidays.
Sure.
And so normally we'd have a quiet spell about now, but how it's been since even before lockdown occurred it's been extremely busy.
Yeah.
Kind of the traffic we'd normally have just after Christmas, the
Nice.
divorce day that everyone talks about in January, and it's been more like that since before lockdown happened.
Yeah. Obviously, there have been some changes externally, which you can't control within your remit. For example, I was reading one of your many blogs, interesting about the courts being closed. How's that been working? How's that affecting things?
Yeah, so where families are unable to reach an agreement, or they need the input of the court to help them, the court process is there. And before March, the standard practice would be that we would attend the court building and have hearings before judges or magistrates. But very shortly before lockdown, the president of the family division set out some very rapidly drafted guidance as to how this was going to happen. Family law is like criminal justice system, has to keep going. You couldn't just put a stop on it, and it can't just happen behind closed doors. We can't just suddenly start doing work and meeting with judges without people being involved in the process. And so we needed to, and the country's come up with a system to enable us to work remotely and carry on the justice system, so that the people who need it most, the most vulnerable, and all the other court hearings that are going on could still continue. So we had this rather large document that we all had to digest pretty much overnight, and it completely changed the way as to how we work. So we have video meetings. Court hearings would no longer be in the building; they would be on the telephone, or via Zoom or Skype, or sometimes just on paper. You just submit the papers and await to hear from the judge. So we've not been able to go to court, and we've managed to continue. It's not a pretty picture at the end of it, where we are now.
It's just extending the time of the process, I guess.
It is, and sadly for a lot of cases, they have simply been adjourned. COVID is, as everyone will know, is unprecedented. We've never had to deal with anything like this, and I think it was recognised early on. We were all very hopeful that things would resume to normality. Perhaps in a few months it will be back to normal. So a lot of the cases early on were just simply adjourned. Let's fingers crossed we can get back to business as usual in June, July, and so sadly a lot of the cases were adjourned, and they are still there, and they need to be dealt with. And then there is a very large backlog.
I was going to say, is there a huge backlog, and are the courts? Is there a plan to open?
So we've just had some updated guidance from the President's Family Division that came on the 9th of June, which was again really highlighting where we've been, what's happened, and now we've got a little bit more clarity where we're going to go in the next 6 months or so. It's not happy reading. It's not a great place, but we're in, and I think there's early indications that we're not going to be anywhere near normality or the old normal, perhaps until next spring.
Oh, really?
And because all the while, the cases have some have adjourned, some have had to change how they're being dealt with. But while that's all happening, new cases are going to court every single day, and so that's adding on to the system. So there is an indication. I think courts are looking at opening up, not to the public, but opening up to be fully staffed in July, which will be a change as to where we are at the moment. And then they're trying to just case manage every single individual hearing as to the circumstances and how it can be managed. And one of the ways they're looking at is this new hybrid system where perhaps, particularly if people don't have access to technology, laptops, video calls, it might be that one party or two parties can physically attend a court hearing with all, changes with the social distancing and so on. And then perhaps a judge is on a video link, or the solicitors are in different rooms. They're looking at a whole new way of dealing with it to try and manage the cases that we have outstanding and find a way forward that's fair and just.
Yeah, good. I mean, I know that obviously the court is obviously the a kind of not where you want to get to. I guess one of your other services that you offer is mediation. And I guess now's a time where really we want to try and where possible get cases done in that way.
Absolutely. And very early on when the lockdown occurred, I think family lawyers took stock and just realized this can't continue. We've got to really now try and push people not to go to court, to try and resolve these matters outside of court. And mediation is one of those ways. It is difficult. It's voluntary. It still requires both parties agreeing to it. I mean, the mediation services have picked up brilliantly. They have simply stepped in and they can do everything now online. They have the ability to have separate meeting rooms that the parties don't have to be in the same screen. They can be in separate areas, and so mediation has really stepped in to try and help parties. And a lot of the time we're having to say this is the best way forward at the moment. We don't know what's going to happen with court. Try this because it's worth it.
Absolutely. And aside from obviously divorce, which is maybe the first thing people think of with family law, I guess there are lots of other issues, such as we've been hearing on the news during lockdown. Child contact.
Yes, I think contact was one of the first real influxes of issues that we had to deal with before lockdown. There was
Mm,
a lot of nervousness and worry, understandably, of what was going to happen, what was lockdown going to look like, and people started to stop child arrangements, stop contact, and to some extent, it's understandable that fear that was happening. But I think that's been one of the most difficult things to deal with, because nobody knows the answers.
no.
Nobody can say whether a person who's shielding should allow some sort of direct contact. It's been extremely difficult to navigate, and again, we've had guidance from the president of the family division as to how things perhaps should try and move in the interim. We've had help from CAFCAS, who are essentially the court social workers, giving us some guidance again as to how to help families in the interim try and work out arrangements. But there has been, sadly, I would say, a significant amount of contact that has stopped, perhaps for the wrong reasons. And the second influx of issues that we've had is about school, and where children have been allowed to return to school under the phase, the reintroduction phases from the government, where parents haven't agreed on that. And again, that's caused quite a big difficulty for families trying to parent together in very difficult times.
Yeah, I understand. And sadly, I've also been reading quite a lot about an increase in domestic abuse cases because of lockdown. Where have you been able to sort of help families with that?
Yeah, and that's one of the most tragic things. And as a family lawyer, it is one of the tragic things that we have to deal with every single day. And the lack of ability for families to have any sort of escape at the moment, or certainly during the initial lockdown period, has just had horrifying consequences. The Women's Aid, Independent Domestic Abuse Services, IDAS, they've all been really stepping up with their social media campaigns, trying to say, we're still here, we can help. And really, that's where we've been particularly in the initial instances of where people are in serious need, is we've been referring to agencies, referring to police. Refuges are still open, because all the other services perhaps aren't as readily available, but at least in the emergency there is assistance for some families. But we have been able to help where there has been emergencies. We have been able to get injunctions. The court has put time aside to deal with that issue. So I think a great commendation for the courts recognising what was happening on the ground with that. But it's a horrible situation. It really has been.
Yeah, of course. People just want to know there are good people like yourself around in our area who are able to help. A little bit of a plug now for you guys. So just tell us, if we have a problem, why should we come to you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really awful time. As much as we're coming out of lockdown and things are getting better, I think personally things will get harder, because we still are in this very, very strange world, and trying to work out how things are going to be, particularly with schools not going back. That's an enormous amount of pressure on families. As I indicated earlier, one of the reasons I wanted to come to Winston Solicitors was because of their ability to be flexible, to have all this technology that a lot of law firms haven't got yet. And that means that we are at the forefront of technology. We can cooperate in court hearings with the best packages. We can file all the documents that's required by the courts. We offer telephone calls, 30 minutes free, a telephone appointment or a Skype appointment, however you need, even WhatsApp if that's what you'd like. I can do a WhatsApp video call.
Wow.
So we're there, really. We are there, we're available, we can help you. And whatever the need is, we've got the facilities, the technology, the packages that we can get the work done. We can do it cost effectively, quickly, and efficiently for everyone.
Oh, there you go. What a fantastic advert. Well, it's been really lovely to meet you, and it's been very interesting sort of finding out how you've been kind of coping as a business, and how you've been kind of working through, and just the fact that the reassurance, that you're there for families should they need help. Where can people find you? Have you got? Would you like to give us your contact details, email address, or how?
Yeah, so if you go to the Winston's website, so if you Google Winston Solicitors, then we should be popping up right at the top. And if you just Google us, click on our link, and then you'll see our profiles up on the website. And if you click on there, you'll be able to contact straight through to us.
Brilliant. Lovely. Thank you so much. Very nice to meet you. Thanks for your time today, Sarah.
Okay, you too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.